How's it going, everybody? Dotodoya here, back with another Dragonball FighterZ video for you all today, and this time we are going to go ahead and be talking about everything we know about both Super Baby 2 and of course Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Of course, for Super Baby 2 it's going to be a little more in-depth, going over everything we see in the trailer and analyzing it, and for Gogeta we are instead going to talk about potential release dates and where we might see this character pop up next, whether it's a trailer, a scan, etc, etc. We're going to get into that later in this video as well. To start things off though, let's go back to the DLC character that we are going to be getting our hands on January 15th, that of course being Super Baby 2. Now, much like any other trailer we've gotten, this trailer also starts off with Super Baby 2's intro, where he completely takes over the body of Vegeta and morphs into the form that he'll be fighting in this game. Right after that though is when we start to get into the more interesting stuff, when we get to see Super Baby 2's light auto combo. I've seen the comparisons that people are making between this and UI Goku's auto combo, but really this doesn't look anywhere near as dangerous to me. Part of that has to do with the reason that his standing light is just this simple jab that Baby doesn't really leave the ground too much to do, so I don't think it's visually as threatening or has a high chance of beating any lows. And then for a second standing light, yes, this does really look like UI Goku's jab, but it is the second standing light in a string, so I don't think it's going to have the same menacing impact of UI Goku, even if it shares the exact same quality. What I'm really interested in is Baby's third hit in this string, which appears to be a grab. For those of you that don't know, there are characters in a game that have grabs in their auto combo strings that do actually break through the opponent's guard like you would expect from a normal command grab, and of course having that option is a really good tool for a character to have. With that being said though, we can't really come to a definitive conclusion on whether Babies will have that property or not, so that's definitely going to be one of the first things I assume people will test when this character drops on January 15th. After that though, Baby concludes the auto combo by kicking Gohan away, and it doesn't really launch him vertically so much as it does horizontally, so that might end up playing a small role in combos, but most likely won't have as much of an impact as the next thing we get to see in this trailer, which are a few of Baby's special moves. And of course, I gotta say, this is where this character starts to get really interesting to me, and I don't think this trailer alone particularly gives us the best impression of what Baby is going to end up being able to do entirely, which is another reason why I'm so excited that he's releasing relatively soon. To start with his special moves, we get a really quick clip of Baby disappearing and reappearing above Gohan and then slamming him into the ground, although it is important to note that it does look like this move, or at least the variation of this move that they used for the trailer, didn't seem to give sliding knockdown, so we're just going to have to wait and see how Baby's bread and butter combos end up looking. Moving on to the next special move, this is actually one that we got to read about in the latest scan, but they did not tell us about the first effect of being able to physically hit your opponent while rising backwards before firing off Darkness Spring Shot. Honestly, when I first saw this, it very much reminded me of Yamcha's Gale Claws, so it's going to be interesting to see if this startup or the spin of this move is able to stop Super Dash in its tracks, much like Yamcha is able to with that move. And of course, after the spin, Baby does fire off 2 Ki Blasts, which, while not shown here, is mentioned in the scan as being able to come back from off screen. Now, the exact wording does say that the Ki Blasts that don't hit come back. I'm not sure if that's meant to be taken literally or not, but if it is, that would imply that if Gohan gets hit by these Ki Blasts, then the Ki Blasts don't come back, but if you miss or he jumps over them or avoids them, then they come back. That of course would still be good, but seeing the special move in motion now, it kind of gives me the scenario in my head that, imagine you're in the air and they super dash at you and you stop it with this and throw 2 Ki Blasts down, forcing them back to the ground of the stage, and then you have the added benefit of them coming back, so you get that extra pressure element and you're able to control the game a little bit more. That would be really crazy. Of course, that would rely on the fact that the Ki Blasts do still come back after hitting your opponent once though. Regardless, I am still personally super excited to use that special move. Up next, we do get to see that Super Baby 2 does have access to a dive kick, and even though Super Saiyan Vegeta has one very similar to this actually gives me more of a Goku Black kind of vibe. Goku Black does end up using his variation of that move for combos, so we'll see if that applies to Baby as well. Overall, not super excited about this one because usually the dive kicks in this game don't hit overhead, so they're usually not really a super oppressive tool, but if Baby's ends up working a bit differently, I would definitely be interested in trying it out. After the dive kick though, I really don't know if this move is actually a special or just Baby's jumping Ki Blast. If you ask me to bet money, I would personally put my money on it just being a jumping special, but that doesn't mean it's not super exciting. These Ki Blasts were also mentioned in the scan as having the ability to come back if they missed, and for this one we can visually confirm that they do have to miss to come back. If they make contact with Gohan like we see here, they will just explode on contact like normal Ki Blasts. So if you were looking forward to using this as more of a pressure tool, make sure you have enough space between you and your opponent so that they actually do whiff on the first go around. Either that or you can just use it as a normal zoning tool and hope your opponents make the decision to jump over them. That way you get to use them for both scenarios. After that though, we get to see another really interesting use of Ki Blast from Baby here, this time in a fashion more akin to Kid Buu's Human Extinction attack or Krillin's ability to bend his Ki Blast upwards. Now of course a major caveat of this move is going to be the fact that your opponent will most likely be be able to super dash right through these. That is why I picture it being used mostly for when your opponent's getting up from either a hard knockdown, a sliding knockdown, or just getting out of a longer hit stun assist that you used on them. Really, that's going to be where this move is at its most powerful, because even if they do super dash, you could just read that and punish them with a 2H, etc., and make them really want to just sit there and block. After seeing that though, in the trailer, we get a short intermissions on specials so that Baby can 5H Gohan into the nearest apartment building. And then as soon as that is over, we get right back to seeing just how crazy this character is when he calls in the defeated Gohan to perform his A assist. This is of course something that is completely unique to Super Baby 2 and was mentioned in the scan, as when you defeat your opponents, you can call upon them to use their assist. Now we do also get to see some things that weren't directly mentioned in the scan, such as the fact that this ability appears to be a special Baby can use, as we do see him EX it later to use the power of Gohan's C beam assist, which can be seen as both a really powerful aspect of the move and also a little bit of a restriction. This most likely means that when you defeat your opponent's characters, you get access to all 3 assists, which is really crazy, but if you want to use the C version of those assists, you will be forced to spend half a bar. The other downside of this being one of Baby's specials, instead of just being able to hit a different button to trigger these, is the fact that it does take a little while to both input and for the animation to go off, meaning that instead of playing a huge role in his combo game, which they will, don't get me wrong, there will 100% be insane combo routes where Baby is calling dead allies using different assists and all sorts of stuff like that. But I think a much bigger use for these is going to be, once again, for when your opponent is getting off of the ground, so sliding knockdowns or hard knockdowns. After showing off that mechanic for Baby, I believe what we see next is going to be his grounded special button, aka what would normally be like if you're using Super Saiyan Goku as standard Ki Blast. I can't say that for sure though. The main reason I'm saying that is because this kind of resembles Adult Gohan's Ki Blast cannon. Of course, I do have to admit that this is a little more savage than Adult Gohan's take on the move, so I could end up being wrong. This might be a standalone special input for Baby, but personally I do see it more of just being his way to get standard vanish combos going. Up next, we see Baby do a quick grounded spin and then fire a huge Ki Blast forward. This one is actually super confusing because it does resemble the Ki Blast that would bounce back or the Darkness Spring Shot, but this one was not shown in the scan, so I actually don't know if this one comes back. Obviously, I think it would be a lot cooler if it did, but this just might be Baby's grounded version of like a Kid Buu Candy Beam or something of the sort. The reason I'm comparing this to Kid Buu's Candy Beam is because I kind of think they might make this grounded only. Basically, if you don't play Kid Buu, he can only do Candy Beam on the ground because obviously they wanted the animation of him standing there and chewing. So in the air with Kid Buu, if you do that same input, you get a Kamehameha. For Baby, I think the version of if you're standing on the ground and doing the input, you'll get this little spin move and then the Ki Blast, but if you're in the air, you'll probably get this beam instead. Obviously, that's a lot of guessing for me, and I'm just going off the fact that this animation directly ties into Baby being on the ground to do the footwork, but they could just have him do it in the air. He can fly after all. I could be completely wrong on this. And now we are finally getting to the end of Baby's specials. This time around, we are getting to see his medium auto combo, which of course means that we get to see his standing medium, his down medium, a special move from him, and of course a very cool looking level 1 super. For his standing light, it looks like we get a very quick elbow. For his 2M or down medium, it looks like he just chops at their shoes. It's a very funny looking animation. And then of course the special is a Vegito-like throw. This move looks insane to me. I love how vicious it looks. And then of course we get a very good looking level 1 to finish off the medium auto combo. Following that up, we get a look at one of his 3 level 3 supers. That's right, this character has 2 different level 3 supers, and then one of those supers has a different variation, resulting in 3 different level 3 animations. I know, it is a lot to keep track of. This one is probably the most mechanically interesting because it really looks like it's going to serve as a Spirit Bomb kind of option, much like GT Goku has a normal looking level 3 and then a Spirit Bomb. Granted, this might just end up being a level 3 option he has in the air to replace the other 2 that probably won't work in the air. The only reason I kind of doubt that is because it looks like Goku GT has a ton of room to run here. So who knows, in the near future, we might have Spirit Bomb super combos as well as Death Ball super combos, which would be a really insane matchup. Speaking of insane though, we have one of the best looking level 3 animations in the game, and that is of course Super Baby's first Great Ape level 3 combo. That is right, this is actually the version of the super that you get when all of your allies are alive and well. In this version of the super, the hitbox is actually the gamma rays or photon rays or oh no, I can't remember what the actual rays are called that turn you into a golden Great Ape. What are they called? Flux waves? Are they flux waves? I have no idea. Regardless, it does appear like that light is the hitbox. After that, there's not too much to say. This animation is absolutely incredible, but there is one more variation of this super that you can achieve when one of your teammates is down, much like GT Goku's level 3 in that aspect. And while we don't have a video of that version just yet, we do have this high quality scan of Golden Great Ape Baby Vegeta firing a Gallic gun, or at least a beam. It looks more like a Gallic gun, but that version version, I'm sure, is going to look just as good. And that, of course, brings us to everything we know about Super Baby 2. He's coming out on January 15th. I don't actually know if the 2-day early access for the Fighters Pass counts that in, so it might be January 13th, or it could end up being that January 17th you'll get him if you're not a Fighters Pass holder. But there you go. We also get his standard look at all of his colors and, of course, his stamp, things like that. So I'll put that on screen now. And then after that, I, of course, said that we were going to talk about Gogeta and where we might possibly see him next, and, of course, possible release dates for him as well. Now, everything I just said right there, we will most likely receive answers to somewhere around March 6th at the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour. It was an announcement that Bandai also made after the World Tour Finals for Dragon Ball FighterZ this year. So yes, on March 6th, 2021, we can expect to hear more news about FighterZ, the Dragon Ball Super card game, and Legends. Overall, this is by far our best chance at getting a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta trailer, but we could also see a scan drop for him either the month before, so sometime in February, or later on in March on the 17th, we might get a scan, meaning that I don't think he'll drop until at least late March, or most likely sometime in April. I also think that if they are planning more DLC for FighterZ, this is a great avenue for them to talk about that. So I am, of course, going to be keeping my eyes on the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour event. But that about does it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below, either on the release date stuff we just covered, or of course your hype levels for Super Baby 2 and whether or not you think the character is going to be snapped. While you're down there leaving me your thoughts, make sure to like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated on all things FighterZ and other fighting games. And hey, we are definitely going to be doing a week of Super Baby as well, so get excited for that. We are going to be hopping on ranked with him for sure. But if you want to watch more videos right now, there should be some on your screen, so check those out if they catch your eye. I have been Dotodoya. Thanks again for watching this one all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next video.